Why did your company decide to hire Network Sunday instead of choosing a different marketing services provider?
We had a strong recommendation from someone who was working for us called Edwin. It's a tangential way of marketing. I think the best marketing is tangential, something that is participatory content creation, as Network Sunday is. Or, as I was speaking to someone earlier on today, sending architects a brick and asking them to draw a sketch on the brick and then having a sketch a brick competition for architects. Totally tangential to what they're trying to sell bricks, but they're not selling the bricks to the architects. They are getting them to draw on the brick, hold it, feel its texture and its weight and its quality, because they're going to draw a picture. But it's really because they want to get the product into the person's hands. And it's a bit like what we do with Network Sunday. It is getting exposure to them, letting them see that the human beings at Growth Intelligence are intelligent, thoughtful, going to listen to you. When you're buying a B2B service, a lot of what you're buying is the quality of the relationship you have with the people. And so it allows you to show but not tell, which is always much more convincing, but very hard to get sign-off for a program like that. It's like any of the most effective marketing campaigns. How did they get sign-off for Salesforce marching through Oracle CRM events, waving placards saying no software? The most effective marketing campaigns are always tangential, where you're talking about something that isn't directly selling, because no one likes to be sold to.
You've touched on this, but compared to other marketing providers you've worked with in the past, how is Network Sunday's methodology different?
It is because it is participatory, it's collaborative, it's a collaborative process. And you are saying to someone, let's do something together. Let's create this white paper together. That's why it's successful. It's less direct, it's not selling. It's creative, it's engaging. So we make them the hero of a process that doesn't just involve an interview and then a write-up. Significant thought about that interview and what they've said, their background, their context, and then a really thoughtful exploration of key themes which helps them develop their understanding. And then a piece of content that is produced and events that we run where we get people together that have been interviewed, people's peers together in a room, and they absolutely love those sessions. And when we do go through a process and people become a customer, someone, I won't say the customer, but they've recently become a customer of ours after having been interviewed by you and being through the process. He said it was such a good sales process that even if we hadn't purchased, we still would have got value out of going through the process, which is brilliant. So we are adding value to someone, whether or not they end up purchasing. And that all works from a marketer's point of view if you can be highly targeted about who you're going after. So tangential marketing programs, one of the ways in which they fail, of course, is if you are giving away free iPads or whatever it is, inviting people to expensive conferences in the Four Seasons that are not ultimately going to get value.
And how helpful is the third-party TechPros.io brand? How helpful has that been in facilitating a dialogue with participants?
I think it's a critical part of the process because it makes it non-linear. It makes it not a sales process. People tend to react differently when they're in front of a vendor versus when they are in front of a market research company. So that's a dynamic that most businesses make use of all the time. People are much more comfortable speaking to a non-biased third party about anything. So that's the dynamic that we use in Network Sunday. Growth Intelligence Tech Pros is the brand that is on point, that's being creative. So I think it is very important.
To what extent do you think that interview participants that you've spoken to have found the experience valuable, and why?
I consistently get people saying that they are pleased. I think people like being listened to by intelligent people that have thought about what they're saying. I think the people are very important. The interviewers being clearly informed, respectful. The process is respectful, persistent. So, chasing people down. And if they have a hint of wanting to speak, is polite, respectful. And when people feel listened to and their thoughts are not just listened to, but interpreted in the context of other things they've said in intelligent ways, I think people get value out of that, actually, even if we do nothing else. The other thing people get a lot of value from is me saying, well, this is what these people in these industries said. in answer to this question. We've done 70 of these EXP ones.
Yeah.
Here are the 5 themes that come out of it. Here's something you didn't say that everyone else seems to have said. And here's things that you said that were totally unique. Either way, it's really useful for us.
Besides meeting interviewees, what other benefits did you get from the marketing program?
Learning about the perspective, obviously, it's very easy to have an insular view of the market. And the thing that people don't do consistently, even though it is one of the cheapest and easiest things you can do, is talk to your prospects, understand their worldview, and that's what we get from it. We understand what they're worried about or what they're not worried about. I might go into this thinking we're going into a recession, people's budgets are going to be cut. But then I speak to people and they say to me, actually, no, we've just got way more money to invest in this program because we want to acquire commercial mortgage customers that are being rejected by the big banks right now. So basically you have your preconceptions challenged. Get closer to your customers and your market and understand what they feel and think and like and want.
What advice would you give a new Tech Pros sponsor planning to follow up with an interviewee after their interview?
It has worked for us because I have done the follow-ups. I think that is really guaranteed to work if you've got someone very senior. In our case, it's the chief executive doing the EXP ones, because it's about people get value from their peers. And people want to spend time with their peers, people who are facing the same challenges as them. That's why our events work. And that's why, for example, Julia Nixon at ABK, just because we happen to be talking about her, her best marketing is where she gets engineers together with other engineers, both of whom love valves. Getting people together with peers always, works really well. And I think people are very sensitive to that. Respectful, again, like if they feel like the process is not respecting them and their position in the society and the industry, then I think it wouldn't work. So I think you've got to invest the time with a peer. You've got to work out who is the closest we have to a peer of this person and put that person to do the EXP one.
The thing with that always is, how do you switch the conversation into more of a sales type conversation?
I think that's easy. In fact, it becomes trivial as long as you've developed some rapport. I don't even talk about our product in the EXP one. I just say, I'd like to show you something. I mean, it's not quite like that, but I could probably do that and it would probably still work because it's not a sales pitch. It's genuine. Once they get to know you, they know you're not trying to fool them or trick them, and it's so much easier.
What value did you get from the program and what have the results been so far? And if possible, can you list expected total contract revenue from sales and pipeline so far?
It's one of our most important channels, and that's become so over the last year. And it's sort of taken over from one of the more linear channels that we had. Also, we have other channels as well that are also effective, digital advertising being a really important one, content creation being a really important one, the events program being a really important one. But it's become one of our most important channels. In terms of like how much revenue it's going to bring in, we're probably going to win 3 customers this year. Each of them is probably representing about £2 million worth of revenue. ARR, that is, rather than revenue.
So is there any other advice that you would give to somebody embarking on a Network Sunday program for the first time?
Follow up. Because they get so much care and respect, if they're then dumped after the EXP one, which is frankly what we did for the first 6 months, just sort of didn't do any more follow-up content, I think they feel that that's quite abrupt. So running an events program where we get these interviewees together is the answer to that for us, but for other people it could be follow-up content, or interviewing them over video, or getting them on a podcast, or whatever it is. You're creating a community. That's how we see it. You've then got to continue to add value, not just one-off, but you've got to continue to add value to people. And the other thing is, none of this works if you don't have full confidence in your total addressable market and you can hand that total addressable market to Network Sunday and say, these are the people we know we want to target. If you have doubts about that, then everything else is going to fail. You're going to be annoyed at having to interview someone. It's going to turn out to be a waste of your time. It's going to feel like they're wasting their time. They're going to pick up from you that this isn't a good use of your time. And you can't invest in them for the long term to get the revenue from it. because you don't believe in them enough. So it's only worth doing. First thing you need to do is to know the names of every account that you want to target, and you need to be reasonably confident that this is the full set of accounts that you need to target, you don't need any more, and that each one of these is genuinely a good fit. If you've got that, then it makes sense.